Let's talk about a Supreme Court decision that sounds boring but is actually a legal earthquake. The court just changed the rules on universal injunctions, the power of a single judge to block a government policy nationwide. For years, if a president did something controversial, one judge could hit pause for the whole country. Now, that's gone. Instead, every person or group has to fight their own legal battle, often with fewer resources than the government. This shift makes it much harder for ordinary people to challenge government overreach. Policies could now be legal in one state and blocked in another, creating chaos and confusion. The tools we use to hold leaders accountable just got a lot weaker, and that's why this boring ruling matters more than you think. Let's break down what just happened. For decades, if the government made a rule that people thought was unfair or even unconstitutional, a single federal judge could step in and block that rule from taking effect across the entire country. This was called a nationwide injunction. It meant that if one person or group sued and convinced a judge, the rule was put on hold for everyone, everywhere, until the courts sorted things out. But now, after the Supreme Court's decision in Trump v. CASA, things have changed dramatically. Judges can only issue rulings that protect the people or groups who actually brought the lawsuit. In other words, if you didn't sue, you're not automatically protected. Picture this. Imagine Congress passes a law banning squirrels as pets. Before, if one family sued and won, all squirrel owners across the country were safe. Now, only the family that sued gets to keep their squirrels. Everyone else? They'd have to file their own lawsuits one by one. To actually stop a national policy, you'd need to file lawsuits in all 94 federal judicial districts. That's a massive, expensive, and time-consuming task, one that most people simply can't manage. This shift gives the government a huge advantage. It can keep enforcing its rules almost everywhere, while opponents scramble to organize, find lawyers, and raise money to challenge the policy in dozens of different courts. The executive branch, meaning the president and federal agencies, can now roll out controversial or even harmful policies, knowing that a single judge can't slam the brakes on them nationwide. Instead, the government can keep moving forward even if some people win in court. The result? More confusion, more legal battles, and a much tougher, longer fight for anyone trying to challenge the government's actions. Policies might be blocked in one place but enforced in another, leading to a patchwork of rules across the country. In short, the Supreme Court just removed a key emergency brake on presidential power, a tool that let judges quickly stop potentially harmful policies before they spread nationwide. It might sound like a small procedural tweak, but this change could have massive, far-reaching consequences for how laws are challenged and how power is balanced in America. Why does this matter now? The debate over who gets to be an American citizen is not new, but it's suddenly become urgent again. Across the country, families are anxiously watching the news, wondering how the latest executive order could change their lives overnight. President Trump's executive order aims to deny automatic citizenship to children born in the U.S. if their parents aren't citizens or permanent residents. This is a dramatic shift from the way things have worked for generations, and it's sending shockwaves through immigrant communities and legal circles alike. For over 150 years, the principle of birthright citizenship has been a cornerstone of American identity. The 14th Amendment, ratified after the Civil War, guaranteed that anyone born on U.S. soil would be recognized as a citizen, regardless of their parents' status. This promise helped shape the nation's diverse fabric, welcoming millions of families from around the world. Now, this executive order tries to end that tradition, raising fundamental questions about who belongs in America and who gets to call this country home. Previously, a nationwide injunction blocked the order everywhere, providing a sense of stability. But with that injunction now lifted, the legal landscape has shifted dramatically. The result? The policy could be enforced in some states but not others, depending on where lawsuits are filed and how local courts respond. This patchwork approach means that the rights of children born in the U.S. could vary dramatically from state to state. For families, this creates a climate of deep uncertainty. Imagine being unsure whether your newborn will be recognized as a citizen, simply because of the state you live in, or where you happen to give birth. The stakes are incredibly high, and the confusion is widespread. The administration can now roll out the policy bit by bit, forcing opponents to fight legal battles in court after court, state by state. This strategy puts enormous pressure on advocacy groups and families, who who must scramble to respond to each new legal challenge as it arises. The big constitutional question, can a president unilaterally change birthright citizenship, remains unanswered. Yet, the policy can start taking effect before the courts have a chance to weigh in, creating real-world consequences for thousands of families. This is exactly what critics feared, a legally shaky policy moving forward before the courts can rule, potentially upending lives and sowing confusion across the country. The Supreme Court didn't decide on the core issue of birthright citizenship itself. Instead, they made it easier for the president to try changing it, leaving the door open for more legal battles and uncertainty in the months and years ahead. For thousands of families, this is a game changer. The future of birthright citizenship and the American dream for many now hangs in the balance, waiting for the courts to decide what it truly means to be born in the United States. At the heart of this ongoing legal and political battle is the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution. This crucial amendment states, all persons born or naturalized in the United States are citizens. It is a foundational element of American identity and law. For over a century, this principle has been interpreted to mean that if you're born on American soil, you automatically become a citizen. No exceptions, no questions asked. This has been a bedrock of American citizenship policy, providing a clear and inclusive path to citizenship for all born within the nation's borders. However, recent political moves have sought to challenge this long-standing interpretation. Former President Trump's executive order attempts to reinterpret the phrase, subject to the jurisdiction thereof, to exclude children born to undocumented immigrants or those visiting temporarily. This reinterpretation aims to narrow the scope of who is considered a citizen at birth. This move represents a radical departure from established legal precedent, which was firmly confirmed by the Supreme Court in the landmark 1898 case of Wong Kim Ark. In that case, the court upheld the principle of birthright citizenship, reinforcing the idea that the Constitution guarantees citizenship to all born on U.S. soil. Legal scholars and constitutional experts overwhelmingly agree that a president cannot unilaterally change the Constitution through an executive order. Such a significant alteration would require a constitutional amendment, a process that involves both Congress and the states. Changing the principle of birthright citizenship is not a matter of simple policy adjustment. It would necessitate a formal amendment to the Constitution, a challenging and complex process that reflects the gravity of such a change. The current administration is betting that it can redefine the parameters of citizenship through executive action, hoping that the Supreme Court's new composition might be more favorable to such a reinterpretation. This debate is not solely about immigration policy. It fundamentally questions the limits of presidential power and the enduring strength of constitutional protections. The stage is set for a significant constitutional showdown, one that will determine who has the authority to define what it means to be an American citizen. The stakes in this legal and political battle couldn't be higher, as the outcome will shape the future of American identity and the balance of power within the government. The end of nationwide injunctions doesn't just affect immigration, it changes how everyone can fight for their rights. Now, challenging a national policy means filing lawsuits in dozens of places, which is expensive and slow. Justice Jackson warned this will hurt people without money or legal resources the most. Your rights could depend on your zip code, protected in one state, unprotected in another. The new go-to strategy is class action lawsuits, but those are harder and take longer to win. Meanwhile, harmful policies can stay in effect for years. This favors the government, which has deeper pockets and more patience. The result, a patchwork of justice where only some people are protected. It's a quiet but devastating blow to equal rights. Birthright citizenship isn't the global norm. Most countries use jus sanguinis, or citizenship by blood. Only about 30 countries, mostly in the Americas, grant citizenship to anyone born on their soil. Canada, Mexico, Brazil, and Argentina are in this club, but most of Europe and Asia are not. Supporters of changing U.S. policies say we're out of step with the world and that our laws attract illegal immigration. Opponents argue birthright citizenship is core to America's identity, a nation where anyone can belong, regardless of their parents' origins. The debate isn't just about policy, it's about what kind of country America wants to be. Do we follow the global trend or hold on to a unique, inclusive tradition? That's the real question at stake. Many countries have moved away from automatic birthright citizenship. The UK ended it in 1983. Now, at least one parent must be a citizen or settled resident. Ireland changed its law in 2004, ending birthright citizenship due to concerns over birth tourism. Australia made a similar shift in 1986. Now, at least one parent must be a citizen or permanent resident. The Dominican Republic went even further, retroactively stripping citizenship from thousands, creating a stateless population. These changes were driven by debates over immigration and national identity. The human cost can be enormous. Suddenly, people born and raised in a country can find themselves outsiders overnight. America's debate isn't happening in a vacuum. The stakes are real, and the consequences can be severe. The Supreme Court's ruling on injunctions was just the warm-up. The real fight over the meaning of the 14th Amendment is coming. Lawsuits challenging Trump's order will climb to the Supreme Court, forcing a final decision on birthright citizenship. If the court sides with the president, it could end automatic citizenship for millions and reshape the nation. If it strikes down the order, it reaffirms the Constitution's promise of equality. Either way, this will be a landmark moment in American history. The future of citizenship and the country's identity hangs in the balance. The whole nation will be watching. This isn't just legal jargon, it's about real people and the future of America. Birthright citizenship has helped generations of immigrants become full members of society. Ending it would create a permanent class of non-citizens, people born here but denied basic rights. They'd live in the shadows, unable to vote or fully participate in American life. The 14th Amendment was designed to break from the old world's blood-based systems and guarantee equality. Abandoning it would be a step backward, undermining the idea that anyone can become American. The Supreme Court's ruling has made it easier for a controversial policy to take root. The fight over birthright citizenship is about whether America remains a nation of opportunity or becomes a nation of walls. This is a battle for the soul of the country, and it affects every single one of us.